Hello, friends. Let me ask you a real question. Have you ever promised yourself that this time it would be different? This time you'll wake up early. This time you'll work out every day. This time you'll break that bad habit that keeps holding you back. And then, a week later, you're back where you started, feeling guilty, wondering what's wrong with you. I want to tell you this right now, there's nothing wrong with you. The problem isn't your willpower. The problem isn't your motivation. The problem is your system. And today, we're going to fix that. Welcome to the complete summary of James Clear's Atomic Habits, one of the most practical, life-changing books ever written about human behavior. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through every big idea in this book with real stories, compelling examples, and strategies you can use today. Let's get started. Part 1. The Surprising Power of Tiny Habits. Engaging Storytelling Mode. Let the story breathe. The British cycling team story. In 2003, the British national cycling team was one of the worst in the world. For 96 years, British cyclists had never won the Tour de France. Their equipment was so poor that top manufacturers refused to sell them bikes. Coaches didn't want to work with them. Then a man named Dave Brailsford was hired as the new performance director. He introduced a concept he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The idea? Find a 1% improvement in everything. Not one big breakthrough. 1% everywhere. They redesigned the bike seats to be more comfortable. They tested different massage gels to optimize muscle recovery. They taught riders how to wash their hands properly to avoid getting sick. They even painted the inside of their truck white so they could spot tiny dust particles that could damage the bikes. 1% here, 1% there, 1% everywhere. The results? Staggering. Within 5 years, British cyclists won 60% of the gold medals at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. The following decade, they dominated the Tour de France, winning it 5 times in 6 years. The math of 1%. Here's a question. What if you got just 1% better every single day for a year? The math is brutal in the best possible way. 1% better every day for 365 days equals 37 times better by the end of the year. 1% worse every day? You drop down to almost zero. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. They seem to make almost no difference day to day, but over months and years, the impact is enormous. Goals versus systems. Now, here's something that might challenge the way you've been thinking. James Clear argues that goals are overrated. Every Olympic athlete wants to win a gold medal. Every startup founder wants to build $1 million business. The goal is the same, so why do only some people achieve it? The answer? The system. Goals are about the results you want. Systems are about the process that leads to those results. If you completely ignored your goals and just focused entirely on your system, would you still succeed? James Clear says, yes, winners and losers often have the same goals. What separates them is the system they follow day after day. So stop obsessing over outcomes. Fall in love with the process. Part 2. Identity-based habits. Here's the deepest insight in the entire book, and it might just change everything for you. 2 layers of change. Most people try to change their habits at the outcome level. They want to lose 20 pounds, read 12 books, save $10,000. Some go deeper. They focus on process. They change their routines, their schedules. But James Clear says the most powerful level of change is identity. Who do you want to become? Here's the key difference. Outcome-based thinking says, I want to quit smoking. Identity-based thinking says, I am not a smoker. Outcome-based thinking says, I want to run a marathon. Identity-based thinking says, I am a runner. Do you feel the difference? One is a goal. The other is a declaration of self. Every action is a vote. Every time you sit down to write, you cast a vote for the identity of writer. Every time you choose a salad over fries, you cast a vote for the identity of healthy person. Every time you do not check your phone first thing in the morning, You cast a vote for the identity of focused person. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to win the majority of votes. And here's the beautiful part: the evidence accumulates. Over time, your actions prove to yourself who you are. The habit becomes automatic. The identity becomes real. The question is never, can I do this? The question is this the kind of person I want to become? Part 3. The 4 laws of behavior change. Everything in this book boils down to one elegant framework: the 4 laws of behavior change. Building a good habit? Apply these 4 laws. Breaking a bad habit? Invert them. Let's go through each one. Law 1: make it obvious. Here's a wild fact. Most of our habits happen unconsciously. We don't even notice we're doing them. The first step to changing a habit: make it visible. Strategy: Hasson. Implementation: intention. Most people say, I'll exercise more. Successful people say, I will exercise at 7 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the gym on Oak Street. Research shows that people who specify exactly when and where they will perform a habit are 2-3 times more likely to follow through. The format is simple. I will behavior at time in location. Strategy: #2. Habit stacking. One of the most powerful habit tools ever discovered. The formula: after I current habit, I will new habit. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read for 10 minutes. After I sit down at my desk, I will write for 20 minutes. After I brush my teeth at night, I will meditate for 5 minutes. You're linking your new habit onto something you already do automatically. It's like chaining habits together, one triggers the next. Strategy: #3. Design your environment. Want to eat healthier? Put the fruit bowl on the kitchen counter. Hide the chips in the cabinet. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow. Delete the Netflix app from your phone. Want to practice guitar? Leave it sitting out in the living room. Environment design is the secret superpower most people ignore. You don't need more discipline. You need a smarter environment. As Clear writes, make the cues of good habits obvious and the cues of bad habits invisible. Law 2: make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become a habit. But here's the challenge. Most good habits are boring at first. Going to the gym doesn't feel fun when you're just starting out. So how do we make good habits more appealing? Temptation bundling. A college student named Ronan Byrne loved Netflix. He hated exercising. So he engineered a brilliant solution. He only let himself watch Netflix while riding a stationary bike. Netflix became the reward for working out. The habit became instantly more attractive. This is temptation bundling. Pair something you want to do with something you need to do. Only listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning the house. Only watch your favorite show at the gym. Only enjoy your morning coffee after you've journaled. The role of culture. Humans are social creatures. We tend to adopt the habits of the groups we belong to. James Clear makes a striking point. One of the most effective things you can do is join a group where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Want to read more? Join a book club. Want to get fit? Find a workout group. Want to build a business? Surround yourself with entrepreneurs. When the people around you already behave the way you want to behave, it becomes natural to follow along. LAW 3: make it easy. Here's one of the most counterintuitive ideas in the book. Motion feels like action, but it isn't the same thing. When you research diets, you're in motion. When you actually cook a healthy meal, you're taking action. When you plan your workout schedule, you're in motion. When you show up at the gym, you're taking action. We love motion because it feels productive, but motion alone doesn't produce results. Only action does. And the way to take more action? Make it easier. The law of least effort. Human nature gravitates toward the option that requires the least amount of work. If you want to floss, place the floss on your bathroom counter right next to your toothbrush. If you want to work out in the morning, sleep in your gym clothes. If you want to write, open the document before you go to bed so when you wake up, it's already waiting for you. Reduce friction. Make the path of least resistance lead to your good habits. The 2-minute rule. This one is game-changing. Any habit can be broken down into a 2-minute version of itself. Read before bed each night becomes read 1 page. Run 3 miles a day becomes put on my running shoes. Study for class becomes open my notes. The goal is to show up. Once you cross the threshold, continuing becomes much easier. Master the habit of showing up before you worry about optimizing performance. Law 4, make it satisfying. This is the most critical law for long-term habit formation. We repeat what is immediately rewarded. We avoid what is immediately punished. The problem? Most good habits have delayed rewards. You work out today, you don't see results for weeks. You save money today, the payoff is years away. Meanwhile, bad habits often feel great right now. So, the trick is to engineer immediate satisfaction for your good habits. The paperclip strategy. A financial advisor named Trent Dearsmid started with 2 jars on his desk, one with 120 paperclips, one empty. Every time he made a sales call, he moved 1 paperclip from the full jar to the empty one. He didn't stop until all 120 clips were moved. The visual reward of watching the jar fill up kept him motivated. Within 18 months, he was generating $5 million in revenue. This is what Clear calls a habit tracker, a visual record of your streak that makes the invisible progress of habits visible. Never miss twice. You will miss a day. Life happens. You'll skip a workout. You'll eat junk food. You'll miss a habit. The key rule? Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new, bad habit. Getting back on track immediately, even with a terrible, half-hearted version of your habit, is infinitely better than skipping 2 days in a row. Show up, even badly. Never miss twice. Advanced tactics. The secret to lasting mastery. The Goldilocks rule. Humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are at the right level of difficulty. Too easy? Boredom? Too hard? Anxiety. Just right? Flow. This is called the Goldilocks rule, and it explains why so many habits fail. If a habit becomes too easy, we stop caring. If it becomes too hard, we quit. The solution: keep raising the bar. Add a little more challenge. Keep the habit at the edge of your current ability. The boredom problem. Here's the truth about elite performance that no one talks about. The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's boredom. Professional athletes, world-class musicians, and top performers all face boredom. The workout gets repetitive. The practice feels tedious. The difference between professionals and amateurs? Professionals show up anyway. They've learned to fall in love with boredom, to show up when it's not exciting, when there's no motivation, when it just feels like work. The only way to become excellent is to be endlessly fascinated by doing the same thing over and over. You have to fall in love with boredom. Identity versus habits. A final warning from James Clear, one that might save you from yourself. The same process that builds your best habits can trap you in your worst ones. When you over-identify with a habit, I am a runner, I am an entrepreneur, it becomes part of your self-image. And when life disrupts that habit, it threatens your identity. The solution: keep your identity broad. Don't say I am a runner. Say I am someone who prioritizes my health. Don't say I am a writer. Say I am someone who values creativity. Broad identity, flexible process. That's the formula for long-term resilience. Outro call to action. So let's bring it all together. You don't need to completely overhaul your entire life. You don't need a drastic change. You need a percentage. You need to make your good habits clear, attractive, easy, and satisfying. You need to make your bad habits invisible, ugly, difficult, and unsatisfying. And most importantly, you need to decide who you want to be and start voting for that identity, one small habit at a time. Habits aren't a finish line you cross. They're the vehicle you ride every day. Your results are a lagging measure of your habits. Your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your fitness is a lagging measure of your workout habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits. Time multiplies whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your friend. Bad habits make time your enemy. So what one small habit are you going to start today? Write it in the comments below. Say it out loud. Make it come true. If you found value in this summary, please subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. I'll see you in the next videos.